Hey, everybody, welcome to Jimmy Dore Show. I'm here at the Miserable Liberal and Ron Placone.
Hello, Jimmy.
Look at that
Hello.
shirt Ron's got on. It's nice.
Yeah, I like it.
Fomenting
it's comfy,
Discord, huh?
I came here to foment some Discord.
You get that right down there at our thing. All right, so Bill and Hillary Clinton are out grifting again, and they're selling tickets to hear them come talk. You think I'm kidding? There it is. By the way, it's at Scotiabank Arena. Of course, they would play at a first place they would go to is named after a bank. Of course. Of course. An evening with the Clintons. Oh, I bet you Monica Lewinsky has a different interpretation of that. Anyway, an evening, and so does Gaddafi. Anyway, so Bill Clinton, Hillary Rodham Clinton, an evening with the Clintons. November, seats were available. Turns out a lot of seats were available. Turns out they were playing a place that has almost 20,000 seats. They could barely sell 3. They had to bring the curtain in. Here, I'll show you. This is from the Daily Mail. If you watch this video, so you see do you not see the empty seats? It gets dark. That's because they cut the arena in half. They pulled a curtain. So that's a trick I learned in comedy clubs. So if you have a 400-seat comedy club and only 150 people show up, there's a curtain that cuts the room off in half. They just pulled this huge curtain, so now it looks like it's not so empty. And now it feels full. So they tried to do that again, but it's tough to curtain off 16,000 seats.
I'm sure at one point they were kind of looking at the refreshment bar going like, can we make a stage out of this? We might be able to. I got an idea. Where are the folding chairs?
So let's just here. I'll just here. So if you see, there's the cam. So they're all empty seats. Even when they closed it off, even when they cut the arena in whatever a third. Do you see all the empty? Look at nothing but empty seats. There's some seats
well, were
there.
the tickets starting at like $200 or something like that too?
Here's another. Yeah, we're going to get to this one.
Okay.
Says this is an entire bank of seats that were empty through the whole show. And I don't know if you can see, but at the bottom it says an entire bank of seats on the floor where tickets were going for $111 on an official site remained empty during the entire event.
There's just one lonely guy sitting there.
Yep.
I mean, come on. You know when they're empty seats at a great concert, people fill them in.
You know a meme that's waiting to happen? Just having that picture, and then there's that one guy sitting there by himself, and he has a thought bubble, and it says, "What happened?" ? Somebody make that.
So here is another picture from the Daily Mail. It says seats on the upper left can be seen empty just a few minutes before the former first couple took the stage. So you can see you can see them how they tried to close off the arena. You can see it, right? So this stage should be way back because there's way more arena. Anyway, who cares? I do, actually. So you see all the empty seats. It's hilarious. Here's this is also from the Daily Mail. It says they were below. Look how much these tickets were going for. This is there were below face value tickets on sale on StubHub hours before the event.
40 minutes before the event, they offered to pay you. Negative $20.
The Bill and Hillary Show. Power couple kick off a 13-city paid speaking tour. Because they don't have enough money. Because they don't have enough money, the Clintons. How many hundreds of millions of dollars do you need? And so here, Bill and Hillary Clinton launched their 13-city paid speaking tour in Canada in a hockey arena Tuesday evening, where there were banks of empty seats, and the power couple accused President Trump of joining a Saudi cover-up. You notice he didn't say anything about an Israeli cover-up. The cheapest ticket available on StubHub was going for $6.55 Canadian, or less than $5. Politicians aren't supposed to charge you to hear them speak. That's the right. Although Ralph Nader did charge when he was running for president, because that's how he would raise money, because there was a media blackout and he didn't take corporate money.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a little different. So the way he raised money, that was before there was online. That was before social media. That was before all that stuff. So the way Ralph Nader raised money to run his campaign was you charged you $5 to come hear him speak, and he would fill stadiums. They're not filling stadiums.
You know, for $5, I would go and live stream it, though. I mean, that would kind of pay for itself.
Yeah. Oh, well, just to see her coughing fits.
I had no idea that Canada wanted to see the Clintons so much.
Well, they didn't.
Arena side.
Turns out they didn't. You were right.
Canada's enthusiasm was quite overestimated.
On the official site, there were still seats up front on the floor available for $325, with other floor seats going for $83, plus a hefty service charge. In an unexpected twist, the Clintons, who suffered throughout 2016 for making millions on paid speeches, were interviewed by Canadian politician and diplomat Frank McKenna, the deputy chair of TD Bank Group. Could the Clintons be bigger assholes? Could they fucking possibly be bigger asswipe holes?
I don't know, Jimmy. Stay tuned, because it's not 2020 yet.
The first time they come out to do at a speaking event, they're charging hundreds of dollars to hear them talk. And they get a guy to interview him is the chairman of a freaking bank. What the? Why don't you guys just tattoo the pictures of bankers' cocks on your forehead, just kind of drooping down into your mouth?
Well, how much donor money does that come with?
Well,
we can talk.
It comes. You got to be kidding me. No, they're not. Of course not. Do you see how psychopathic these people are? How out of touch. They're immune to normal shame. It seems almost offensive to ask you, but this was one of the questions that the bank guy asked him. It seems almost offensive to ask you, but why does Putin hate you so much? He asked the former first lady. You seem like a very nice person, he quipped.
Well, what an opener. That's okay.
Ooh. I think he saw me as someone who had stood up to him and would stand up to him, Clinton responded. You mean stand up to him like when you took $500,000 and put it in Bill's pocket for a speech that came directly from the Kremlin bank? You mean that kind of standing up? Or how about when you gave away our uranium production to Russia? You mean like that kind of stand up? And you did that for a $142 million payment to the Clinton Foundation from Gustra? You're all so goddamn corrupt, you forget what your lies are. They forget what their lies are. Bill Clinton took a $500,000 cash payment in his pocket from a Kremlin bank for one speech. Hillary Clinton signed off on giving, what was it, 10%, 20% of our uranium production to Russia for a $142 million donation to their Clinton Foundation. It was a donation. Had nothing to do with anything.
Yes, and there were no scandals about that. There were no headlines about that. There were no endless conversations on all the talking head shows about them taking that money. And the problem with uranium.
Never. No, it was never. The only time they ever brought it up on a news show was to pretend that they were debunking it, and they weren't debunking it. You stood up to Putin, really?
Well, maybe that was the bank guy's follow-up question. Maybe he was like, can I please have an example? We would have to buy tickets to find out.
I guess you'd have to buy 500,000.
We'll never know.
Bill Clinton said that the United States had compromised its moral leadership. We're currently bombing the entire world almost. What moral leadership do we have? Are you again, this is all gaslighting bullshit. And no wonder people aren't going to pay for it. She couldn't fill a stadium for free when she was running for president. She couldn't fill a gymnasium. What makes you think she's going to be? Oh, because she had Bill with her. Oh, because Bill Clinton, the real celebrity, was there. Even no one wants to see him anymore. Serial sexual harasser.
Yeah, I'm so glad he pointed out that our moral leadership is compromised. The guy who got a blowjob in the Oval Office.
The guy who lied constantly. The guy who demonized black kids, called them super predators, exploded the prison population. Had his sister soldier moment. Remember that? What the sister soldier moment was for Bill Clinton? When he had to stand up and denigrate a black person to show to the right wing he was tough. And then he went on to gut welfare. But we've lost our moral leadership. Why? No, because Trump doesn't kiss ass. He just does the horrible shit that they did too. But he doesn't apologize for it or pretend like he's not doing it like they do. And then he went on to defend NAFTA.
NAFTA. That's off the chart.
But Rachel Maddow will lie to you and say he didn't pass NAFTA.
What?
Because Rachel Maddow also has no integrity when it comes to telling the truth about the Clintons. She'll lie to you. She lied to her own audience. She lied to everybody in the world and said Bill Clinton didn't sign NAFTA. That it was George Bush. But here, why would he be defending it if it wasn't his legacy?
And you said this before, right, Jimmy, that he was making a deal with Newt Gingrich?
He made a deal with Newt Gingrich to privatize Social Security. Bill Clinton, after he deregulated Wall Street, so it would crash within 10 years, ruining our economy, also exploded the prison population, also gutted welfare, also passed NAFTA, which kneecapped unions forever. And he had a private deal with Newt Gingrich to privatize Social Security. It didn't work because the next day, the Monica Lewinsky scandal broke. And that took away his ability to privatize Social Security. That's your guy, Bill Clinton. But now we've lost our moral leadership. Why? Because the guy from outside the club.
The guy that he golfs with.
Well, gets right.
Right?
Trump wasn't outside the club. Trump was in the club. He used to buy those guys, just like he said. They went to their wedding, used to golf together. Their daughters are best friends. Now they have to pretend they hate Trump. And they're doing a good job of it. They're doing a good job pretending. They had no trouble with that guy who they call a racist now. They didn't have any trouble with him before he wanted to run for president against Hillary. Before then, they were going, let's go to his wedding. Let's go golfing with him. Let's get on Jeffrey Epstein's plane with him. What makes this so troubling? This is the Clinton speaking about Trump's relationship with Saudi Arabia. What makes this so troubling is how much commercial interest both the president's family and business and his son-in-law's family and business have with the kingdom, meaning Saudi Arabia. Clinton added, referencing Jared. Really? That's the problem? But the Clinton Foundation taking hundreds of millions of dollars from all takers, all governments, all shady organizations. That's okay? That's okay, right? The $142 million you got from Goistra over the Uranium One deal, that was okay? That no problem? What about all that money? So if you have business with somebody, it compromises you. That's what they're saying. That's what's really that, and I agree. So that's what they're saying, right? Well, the Clintons took $153 million in paid speeches since 2001. That money doesn't have an effect on them, though. So that corruption's coming from inside the country? Oh, no, that's also coming from Russia, because $500,000 of that dollar came right from Russia, didn't it? What the... And again, that's why they have a banker interview them instead of someone like me or an actual journalist who would mention this stuff to them. Oh, so Trump's corrupt because he has business dealings with a foreign country? What about you taking hundreds of millions of dollars from foreign countries? What about you taking $153 million in paid speeches from corporations? That didn't compromise you, though. So a totally different set of standards for you, right? You fucking sociopath. So totally different set of standards for them in an empty stadium, by the way.
Well, I was going to say, hey, look on the bright side. At least we now know what we kind of already knew, but now we know for sure. Those speaking fees sure as hell didn't come from a Dore deal.
So it's nice to know that it was sold out. People hungry for the truth, going to see the Clintons, talk about how somebody else is corrupt.
Chardonnay everywhere.
Someone else is corrupt. That's like Chris Christie pointing you out for bad eating habits. Oh yeah, that Jimmy Dore. He spent a little too much time at the smorgasbord. Smorgasbord. I saw him at the buffet. That Jimmy Dore. Let's talk about who's this? It's Chris Christie. I'm reporting on people's bad eating habits. Hey, if the Clinton can bitch about someone else being corrupt.
Okay, now you tell me she's not getting ready to run.
I hope she's getting...
Come on. I mean, this is ridiculous. She's doing these speaking tours. They're not selling out. It's so funny. It's so funny. I mean, that's like my biggest anxiety. Will anybody show up? And they have all of this money and all of this influence. And what do they take time to talk about? Donald Trump. There are not other more pressing issues to discuss. Climate change, the disparity in the wealth distribution,
Steph, I'm
the
with you.
crisis with Americans in healthcare. They don't want to talk about that.
No, they want to talk about this. They want to talk about the president having business dealings in Saudi Arabia. And what that's known as is that's a conspiracy theory. But if you talk about their conspiracy, their corruption, but no one will ever call the Clintons a conspiracy theorist for pushing conspiracies. But if you bring this up and say it affects them, that's when they'll call you a conspiracy theorist. If you mention that Bill Clinton took $500,000 cash in his pocket from a Kremlin bank for one speech, they'll go, "What are you, a conspiracy?" If you mention that she signed off on the Uranium One deal and $142 million ended up in the Clinton Foundation, they will also call you a conspiracy theorist for that. But here they are, being the most corrupted motherfuckers on the planet, and we all know it. If you read WikiLeaks, even her own campaign was screaming about her doing speeches for the banks. And when they knew she wanted to run for president, they're like, what the fuck is she doing? This is how mental these people are. And the only people who buy this shit are the biggest sycophantic, brain-dead morons. And apparently there was only about 3,000 of them in Toronto. Which is, that says a lot of good stuff about Toronto. They're not putting up with that shit. No, you don't have
Way
us.
to go, Toronto.
And let's be totally fair here. There's a good chance that some of them were just Maple Leaf season ticket holders that got confused.
They got confused.
And what an unpleasant surprise that was. Jeesh.
Could you imagine how boring that must be to sit there for that?
That's brutal.
That is brutal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's brutal.
I mean, you go to a show, you want a show. That's not a fucking show. And they're in a stadium. That's not a show. That's just people talking. That's amazing, right? Like when I would do a live show, I construct it and I have jokes and I have peaks and valleys and momentum and a big closer. Things that get people on their feet and people cheering and people laughing and people being entertained. This is just a couple of sociopaths sitting around talking. That's not a show. That's a fucking podcast.
At best.
At best.
I mean, that's being unfair to podcasts.
It's the shittiest podcast ever.
Yeah.
It is a shitty podcast. Our next live Jimmy Dore show is February 1st in Burbank, California. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a list of all our live shows, and please become a premium member if you can. Become a patron. It's the way we support this show because they're coming at us, and we give you bonus. We give you hours of bonus material every week. Check it out. Become a patron. And if you can, make sure you're still subscribed. They unsubscribe people every day. I know it sounds crazy. It only takes a second. Please make sure and click that bell when you subscribe so they'll send you a notice when we drop a video. Thanks for your support.